and to lessen the burden on the national debt. Again, what is a good CEO to do? You cut the spending, the bleeding, most of all, so you're profitable. So you can start making money. You make good decisions every day, good deals. And by the way, if you've never gotten that book, I've recommended it to some people through the years. If you've never gotten a book, get the book, The Art of the Deal. That was it came out in the 80s. I read it as a young man. Great book. Great book. Full of ideas, thoughts, his story, philosophy, etc. But implement. You can learn a lot, and you can get into the mind of Donald Trump. And the book is remarkable. It really is. It was a bestseller for a long, long time. It's a must-read, highly recommended. But he's been writing for years. And again, his philosophy in business and life and how you can get ahead in this world. And I know so many people are just looking to do that very thing, no matter how old you are, just to get ahead, to be successful. And whatever it is that you're going to do, you don't want to be mediocre. You want to be exceptional. And that's a good thing. All right, so back to this Kremlin story. Today, the Kremlin ordered state media to tone down its rosy coverage of President Donald Trump as concerns about Russia's future relationship with the new administration grow, according to a report. This crackdown on favorable Trump coverage comes at a time when U.S. intelligence and law enforcement agencies conduct several investigations to determine the extent of contacts Trump aides had with Russia during and after the 2016 election campaign, according to Bloomberg. That's their reporting this morning. And a person familiar with the matter told Bloomberg that Russian President Putin staffers feel viewers no longer find the coverage of Trump's transition into power interesting. Well, I would probably think so if you're a Russian. No kidding. If you're a citizen of Russia, it probably wouldn't be interesting. Unbelievable. Really? Are you that? Wow. Wake up. McFly. Some more popular segments of Russian TV invoice Trump's pledge to drain the swamp. Some of them like that. They can relate to drain the swamp. Do you think Putin needs a little draining over there? Talk about corruption at the Kremlin. Unbelievable. But they'll do exactly what he says. You know, they don't have freedom of the press. State-run TV. Like state-run TV in Iran. You know, we have freedom of the press, but how far do they push the envelope? How far do they do it? At any cost. Even if it means that we get our cities up in flames and there's rioting going on. Even it means that. And scare families needlessly, like the National Guard deployment story today. See, it's this kind of crap, folks, and this is the reason why. This is the reason why I do the program. I was talking to some syndicators, some big syndicators of talk radio shows. Big deal. Like Trump says, big league. And they were trying to gauge my broadcast and you know where I was going, the direction of my show, my philosophy, and all of that other stuff. And they said, you know what? There's a lot of talk radio, a lot of it, not all, but a lot of it that's dying. And he says, if Trump gets in, what will you talk about? I said the problems we have, how we can solve the problems, and again, common sense issues, putting the stories up in the spotlight and analyzing, looking at them, explaining them, deciphering them, because sometimes people don't understand them. And common sense approach. But with Donald Trump at the helm right now, there's so many things to talk about how to make America great again. The media obviously does not embrace that philosophy. They don't want to make it great again, not with Donald Trump. Not with conservative values, because they don't hold those values near and dear. Those things are foreign to them, and if they embrace any of it, they will never tell anybody around them because it's not popular, and it's about popularity. So much in Hollywood, it's what people think. It's because you want a job. And so you'll sell your soul. You'll sell your soul, which the Clintons did. I think Bush's did, largely speaking. Yes, very critical of a lot of the decision-making. I like George W. I didn't like the dad so much. He's likable. He's an old, nice grandpa kind of guy, but I don't like what he did with the banking business. Or it's just some really questionable items, especially with the war in Iraq. I just don't know. And maybe he was misguided with so many things, but it hurt America. When it hurts this country, it hurts me. And it hurts my family. Their future. Long after I'm gone, their future. And that's what I'm doing it for. Their future. Their kids' future. And so forth and so on. We want to have a country. And we have our own national identity. That's the problem when you get folks in from everywhere and they don't meld into our culture and don't love our country. That's why you do things right. You just get sworn in as a citizen. It's a great and it's a beautiful day because you longed for it, you wanted it, you worked for it, you were patient. But if you stole it, what does that mean to you? But if you work for it, it's etiquette. It's etiquette 101. It's like my dad telling me to go to work. He could have paid for everything easily. But what would that have taught me? The value of earning my own money. And there was an interesting thing. When you buy it, you take better care of it because you know how much it costs. And you know how much it's going to cost to replace it if you mess it up. Don't you? That's why you don't loan your car out to just anybody to drive your car. Some of you don't even let your wife drive the car. You know who you're talking about, or your husband. It's your car. It's your baby. Nobody touches that. Right? Because that's yours. So you know the value to it. It means something to you. And, if you got a son or a daughter or you got a grandkid out there, make them work. Make them work for it. They want something, want to go to the movies, rake some leaves. Paint something. That fence outside your house, it needs painting. Have your kid do it. Have your grandkid do it. Teach them the value of making the money. They want to do something, earn it. It's a problem with a lot of young people. They just want everything given to them. And they're going to have a rude awakening when they get out in the real world. Real rude awakening, unless you're going to pad their bank account and they could have servants following after them. But even what good is that? Teach people the value of making that buck. It's a beautiful thing. It's a good thing. I'm really glad that my dad did it. There was this philosophy in the 80s. It was called tough love. It was a good thing. I think they need to bring it back again. And then there was the other thing with the tough love that went along with the tough love is he actually cracked the whip a little bit. Yeah, he got the hand or the back of the belt buckle. Yeah, that didn't feel too good on the rear end. Ouch, or other places you may have gotten it. But, you learn to respect. That's the other thing. Just not a lot of respect. With Donald Trump speaking out against the media and all that, there just isn't respect, especially for the presidency. Again, they had a love affair with Bill Clinton. They had a love affair for 8 whole years of Barack Hussein Obama, and because they could have it their way. And now it's a bunch of spoiled brats. They can't have it their way. They got to make up things, make somebody else look bad. And it's kind of childish. That's what kids do. But they reverted back to childhood stuff, and they're, because their ratings are so bad, they have to cook these things up, win at any cost, whatever they can do for ratings to keep what few people watch them, to entertain them, make it up. Make it up. Fraudulent news. You know what? The fake news slogan works. Be careful, oh little ears, or whatever eyes you have left. It's distorted. It's terrible. It's bad. It's slanted. You got to do your due diligence. You really got to do your due diligence. You can't just take it from one source. The truth lies somewhere. You get it straight. off the wire services like the Associated Press. You even have to verify some of that stuff. You know how news networks get it wrong when they say 50 people died, then you find out only 5 people got injured. They're just so quick to just lay in and lambaste this young administration. And it's hatred. It's really what it is. I call it evil. I mean, hatred, I guess, is that mix of evil, but it's pure hatred, animosity, jealousy, and all of these other particular things. And instead of trying to unite the country, and better themselves, most of all, is to be a better person, they have to resort to these tactics. And it's pretty low. And I've never seen it so low in media. And I've worked in radio since 1986 and talk radio, listening to shows, hearing the news, understanding the news, being around newsmakers and all sorts of colorful guests. Good people. There's no shortage of things to talk about. And we'll always have something to talk about with Donald Trump being in the presidency, because there's going to be things that are going to happen, such as job creation like you've never seen before. I honestly believe that. I was talking to a guy yesterday about my broadcast, and he says, Keith, you were right when I thought you were so wrong about Donald Trump. And I said, please explain to me. What was he? He said, well, first of all, he won. You never blinked. You said he would get it, and why we got it. I said, we've worked so hard with this broadcast for so many years and lost so much ground and so many affiliates when Chuck was audited for 18 years with the Clinton administration because he spoke truth to power. That's a true story. That's what happened. He lost hundreds of affiliates and because of the Clintons. Spewed lies that he was cheating on his taxes. He wasn't. But lost his livelihood and his prominent voice. I picked up the baton 2 years ago. And by the way, we're going to have an official 2-year program coming up, and we're going to be raising some money on a very ambitious affiliate relations campaign to reach more stations across the United States to get the show on a bunch more radio stations. And we really appreciate those that are with us now, have been with us from the very beginning. You guys are awesome. Maybe you're sitting behind that board and you're doing local commercials, or you're programming that computer, whoever you might be. Thank you for running this broadcast, making sure that it's on at the right time. People get the show. They know what the website is if they call on the radio station. Very valuable. But my heart is in this for our country. And that's what I told these national syndicators out of New York. I said, this is not just something to play with. This is not just for fun. This is not self-grandizing to lift me up, to propagate me. This is about our country, taking our country back. And that's what I believe that Donald Trump is able to do, is to take our country back. I was watching Bill Bennett. He was the education secretary under Ronald Reagan. Great guy. And he agrees. He says that Donald Trump is a man who's getting the job done, and that terrifies the left to no end. I was talking in a number of shows back about the achievements, seriously, of Barack Obama on his wall in Chicago, what he's going to be able to paste to the wall with achievements. I don't know any. Other than being the first black president of the United States, I don't know what else you could say were accomplishments. Everything else is up in flames. Our inner cities are burning. Chicago, where he came from, where he kicked off his campaign, he had that electrifying hope and change. Hope and change. Everybody was crying. Oprah was crying. Juan Williams was crying, formerly of PBS, now Fox News control. Everybody was crying. People were crying. There's no hope and change. The change is that we got worse as a country. He's a great guy. His favorable ratings, people liked him. They thought he was great because, you wanted to listen to him when he talked. Does it sound like he actually had something to say? And that's how he came across, that he had something to say. We say in voiceovers, because I teach the art of voice acting when I'm not on the radio, it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And he's very clever with his words, but the substance is not there. It's not there. It's not been there. It's a bunch of garbage. Anyway, I digress. I hope not. But For the People's on the air for you folks. If you can help out the broadcast, please